Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Gonna do a response to Vinyl Dale. He has a Who Are You 20 Daring Questions challenge. I saw that video pop up and then I went into the questions and started reading them. And I stopped at about the fourth or fifth question and thought, you know what might be cool? Just to do a response without even reading the rest of the questions. Just like really totally and completely off the cuff, kind of raw answers. So that's what I'm going to do is just push record and read through the questions here and see how I do. So I assume if there are questions that require me to show or pull something, I'll just maybe do a little edit in here somewhere. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of fun maybe to approach one of these this way. So let's just kind of jump right in and see what these questions are. Like I said, I did read the first four, I think, first four or five. In 2 words, describe your record collection / music collection. I would actually pick 2 words, and this is mainly from feedback that I've gotten from the VC, which I always hear my taste is eclectic and diverse. Those are the 2 things that I hear all the time, which has always been very interesting to me because within myself, I've just always viewed my music and my music taste as being like the most common, regular, this is what everybody knows, everybody has, just like almost like mainstream kind of thing. So when I hear people saying like, "Oh, I've never heard of that band," and never heard of that group, and people that like really know their music, or that group of records you just showed in that video, wow, your taste is so diverse, and it's like I've never even registered that stuff. I've just always thought it's just the most average, basic, whatever. So it's been some really good insight that people have given me in the VC as compared to how I viewed myself, which is kind of cool. So I trust my VC members, so I'm going with their words of eclectic and diverse. Question number 2: what formats other than vinyl do you collect, and the reason why? I collect cassettes. I collect CDs, maybe like 1,200 cassettes, maybe 1,400 CDs, somewhere around there. A few reel-to-reels, like maybe 50 or so, but they're so expensive, it's hard to really get into collecting those. Why do I collect all the different formats? Is because each format brings something to the table that the other format doesn't. Each one has something special about it. Each one of them has some type of, and simply operating the format, there's just something unique about it that takes you back to different time frames. They each have a little bit of a different sound to them. And so, yeah, I love having all these different avenues that I can explore the music that I love so much. So, like I said, down these different avenues. So I love all the different formats. Even streaming and digital, iTunes and stuff like that. I love that as well. Question number 3: what or who would you say inspired you to create your VC channel? Well, I created my channel long before the VC ever existed. Like when I first really got into collecting crazy, like back in 2006ish, somewhere around there. I was buying vinyl crazier than I'm buying it now, and the prices were so much better. Um, when I got into vinyl, I wanted to talk to other people because there was no one I knew that was. So I came to YouTube to look for other videos of people talking about vinyl, and there was literally nobody. One guy, a Sean 016, was the only guy that had a couple of videos up where he showed a few Nirvana picture discs. But so that's really what made me think. Actually, if you go watch my very first video, which I think was in 2008, I actually say at the beginning of that video, I came here looking for others into vinyl, didn't find anyone, so I thought maybe I need to do it myself to kind of get the ball rolling. And so that's what I did. And sure enough, years later, the whole VC thing spawns. So that's why I started doing videos years and years ago. Question number 4: to monetize your channel or not to monetize, and the reasons why. Like I said, I've had my channel since '08, and I just monetized it few weeks ago, actually. And I'm doing it just because I figure I'm not changing or trying to build a channel or start doing anything different. I just figured if I have hundreds of videos out there and I'm getting, total thousands and thousands of views, I might as well monetize it, get a few extra bucks that may put a few extra records in my collection. That's pretty much the only reason why. Question number 5: well, what's more important to you, subscribers or views? Another good question. Definitely views. I mean, someone could have subscribed to you 8 years ago and never watched a single one of your videos, so who cares if that subscriber is there? so to speak. So I definitely care more about views. And actually, if anything, I care more about comments. Like I'd rather have, 100 comments and 150 views than 1,000 views and 4 comments. So that's really the most important thing to me. Question number 6: digital or analog? Which do you listen to the most, and be honest? Um, Now, I'm assuming there you're talking about records as compared to streaming or CDs, and not analog source records or digitally sourced records. So I'm assuming it's the first. So if I'm thinking about just being at home in my music world with CDs and cassettes and vinyl, everything around me, I would say 70% of everything I listen to at home is vinyl. So is analog. If you look at just my overall musical world, just listening to music as I exist on this planet, I would probably say it's 50-50 digital and analog, mainly because I do a lot of driving for work sometimes, and being on the highway and listening to music is one of my favorite places to listen to music, especially like a road trip. That's just my absolute favorite. So question number 7: do you feel the Beatles are far too often spoken? Do you feel the Beatles are far too often spoken about and showcased far too often in VC videos? I'm actually glad that question's in here, because I actually already have an answer for that. And my answer is yes. I think the Beatles are way too spoken about. There's way too much Beatles stuff on everyone's wall and all of that. Now, me saying that does not mean people should not be talking about the Beatles and putting all of that stuff on your wall. The biggest thing to me in the VC and this whole music world is whatever stirs you and puts that fire in you and just makes you feel great in the way that music should make you feel. That is what you play, and that is what you put on your wall. So I will support the heck out of anybody plastering their entire house in Beatles, everything across the board. And if I find Beatles stuff, I'm going to send it to you because I know it'll make you happy. So in my personal opinion about the Beatles, I get sick and tired of hearing about them because I'm not a Beatles maniac. The Beatles to me are just like any other average band that had a few good songs that I like. So I have a couple of their records, but there's a gazillion people I'd rather listen to long before listening to the Beatles. Understanding they are the biggest thing to ever happen to rock and roll, the most influential thing that most bands across the history of rock and roll. I mean, the Beatles are the pinnacle. It's just in my experience with them and my connection and love with them, it's here. So yes, seeing Beatles everything on every people's wall and always talking about the Beatles and all that type of stuff, I don't need it for myself. That's me. On the flip side, as a one music lover to the next, you rock the Beatles all day long if that's what makes you happy, and I will support you in doing it. So really good question. I didn't see that one coming. Question number 8: do live streams benefit the VC or do more harm than good? I would say it's a benefit, just because the VC has gotten so big. It's really like a bunch of separate little communities here. Like half the time you don't even know half the people that are doing vinyl videos. You never stumble across their channel. But I think the live streams are a way to be more interactive, real time, all that good stuff between the people viewing and the people doing the stream. And as long as it's, whether it's like a live stream or a short or something like all the new things that YouTube keeps throwing out, as long as they don't make something where you have to partake in it. If you don't like live streams, you don't like shorts, you don't have to do them. You don't have to watch them. You don't have to post there. So I'm usually okay as long as people have a very firm choice. The one thing I think is really harmful to the VC to me is when the YouTube took away the private messages that you could send to a person. Like that's one of the things that really kind of bothered me, but that I thought was bad for the VC. But anyway, question number 9: do you feel you're always honest when you make videos, and are you afraid of speaking your mind on matters and worry about offending others? Not at all. I have no problem speaking my mind, and I actually love when I get opportunities to speak my mind. And I think maybe the one thing that I would say, I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, that makes me very comfortable saying that is because I know no matter what I think about something, even if I'm going to speak my mind and say something that I know might bother someone, I feel like I know how to do it in a respectful way. Like I know how to take into consideration what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and how do I communicate this without necessarily just being on the attack with them, or also validating their feelings about this or whatever else. I feel like I'm pretty good at doing that, so oftentimes I'm comfortable with talking about challenging things with people because I can hold. Well, I just put it that way. I feel comfortable doing it because I feel like I can be comfortable approaching people in the proper way with doing it, as opposed to people that, and this kind of bothers me too, that kind of get in the mindset of I'm gonna say what I have to say, and like when I hear that, the first thing I think is what I just heard you say is you don't care what anybody else thinks or feels, and that to me is two totally different things. Um, so question number 10, are compilation albums frowned upon in the VC, and why do you think they may or may not be the case? I don't think they are. I mean, they're probably not shown in a lot of the channels that I watch. I don't see a ton of them, but I do see people showing them every now and then, and I've never really heard a lot of negativity. So yeah, I mean, I would guess no. Number 11, what do you think of shorts, and what do you think they have to offer exactly? Okay, I guess that goes back to what I just was saying about the live stream. The exact same thing. I think I mentioned the shorts there when I mentioned the live stream, so we'll say that one's answered. Question number 12. What are your pet peeves while watching other channels? I think I did answer this one somewhat in a video recently. One of my pet peeves, and again, this is all that takes place inside of me externally. I'm not telling other people not to do this. But one of my pet peeves is people that do the whole, hey, if you're at my channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, get notifications of all my videos when they pop up. And I'm just like, God, don't we all know that to no end at this point in time? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything is about followers, subscribe. Like, we know. Do we really need to say, ring my bell, hit the subscribe button? And something about that is just makes me do this. Now, at the same time, I'm not a creator or influencer, right? So I'm not a person that's trying to build a channel of 1 million people, followers and subscribers and all of that. So I don't know. Maybe that actually does work. Maybe people are getting 15, 20% more subscribers because they're consistently doing that. So I could be completely, oblivious and ignorant about how that affects a channel moving forward. It just seems on the surface to me that everyone probably already knows that, so why are we talking about that? So something about that is definitely a pet peeve. And this may even be off the wall, but it's just one that kind of fits into the question I know I've thought about before. My favorite videos in the VC are room tours. I love it. I don't care if someone has an old junky room that's, stereo is sitting on some cardboard boxes and 50 records are laying off to the side, and I don't care. I mean, to someone who has a multi-million-dollar music room or something. It's just something about looking into a person's musical world that I love. I don't care how fancy or not fancy, whatever. I love it. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when people do these room tour videos and they're like, hey, I'm here to do a room tour video. And then they go right to the wall and they go on every single album they have, and then they go right to every single cube. And like almost never once in the video do they actually go back and give you a pan view of the room where you can see the space. All you see is, it's like, here's my iPhone. This is a cool new iPhone. See, it has a camera right over there, and it's like I can't see the freaking iPhone. It's like, you're gonna put it back so I can actually see it. So that, and in a weird way, that's kind of a pet peeve for me because I love room tour videos so much. So I want to see that room. What question are we on? Question number 13. If you could only choose one, which do you prefer, American or British music, and why? Jeez Louise. American or British music. As I'm flipping through my mind right now, I think I couldn't just say British or American music. I'd have to break it down by genre. Because if you said like punk, I would go British. If you said jazz, I would go American. if you said like glam hair metal, I would go American. But then you have like British new wave of heavy metal. You would that that new wave, you would have to go British. So yeah, it would very much depend on the genre, I think, because there's no way I could just break it down in general. That's a tough question. So that's a stomper right there. Question number 14: are you a completionist or a bit of everything collector? I'm definitely more of a bit of everything collector. On the completionist side, there will be times where I'll get really, really hung up on a artist, and then I'll start trying to gather all of that stuff from that artist. But in general, I'm not just trying to get all of the Bruce Springsteen collection and all of the Rolling Stones and all of the. It's like, no. I'm really kind of opportunistic in a lot of cases, especially now that I'm so picky about the condition of stuff that comes into my collection and the pressings. I'm really much more opportunistic than. So, question number 15: as a collector, do you find you move your collection around more often than you like? And when you do move it, do you actually enjoy doing it or not? Holy cow, that's almost like a question that was designed exactly for me. Because I would be willing to bet my entire collection, quite frankly, that I move stuff around in my music room in my collection more than anybody else in the entire VC. I would be very, very comfortable in making that bet, because there's a piece of me that's actually kind of obsessed with that. That interaction with my collection is almost at the same level of the interaction I had with actually listening to my collection. If my music room, in terms of where shelves are, where posters are, and where genres are placed, stays the exact same for 3 to 4 weeks, that's actually kind of record breaking, that something has not moved around within 3 to 4 weeks. And I move everything. Matter of fact, I bet I can't even actually keep track of my mind right now, but if you go back and even look at my past 2 or 3, maybe 4 videos, I bet you'll find that, so I can't remember exactly when I did, I've shifted these around. I moved these box sets that were over here. I think I changed these posters around about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I changed this poster around where I took the Kitty poster I had and I moved it out and into another part of my music room, and I pulled the Runaways in here. And why would I do something like that? Well, I spend so much time in my office here. This is my main wall that I look at all the time. And so that Runaways poster, which is pretty darn awesome, has been around the corner in my other part of my music room near my cleaning station. So I just kind of thought, oh, what if I move it over here for a while? I'll get to see it more. And then I'll put Kitty over there. And then I moved Chuck Berry from there. And it's like I'm shifting posters and everything all the time. This was in my hallway coming down the steps of my music room just a week ago, something like that, maybe 2 weeks ago. Always rotating vinyl around, moving my genres from one place to another. I've even found that changes how I go about listening to music, where I put my genres. I pulled my, this is maybe a month ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I took all of my Tone Poets out of my front-facing flips jazz section and put them in a cube, because I wanted to have the spine showing for a while, because I think it looks kind of beautiful actually with all those spines together. So I wanted to experience those albums visually from the spine. And so it's like, it's little things like that I am doing constantly. And that's why I enjoy spending so much time in my music room. And also one of the reasons that makes like vinyl and the tangible collecting of music so special to me, because there is so much joy that I get long before I even put the record on the turntable or the CD into the CD player. And so I am constantly shifting things all the freaking time, and I love it. So so you must that's a very good question for me there, because oh my goodness, I can't even explain how often I do it. And of course you guys don't see it all the time, because mainly you're only getting this background, and also who's paying attention to every little detail that's shifted in my room. Even these speakers, I think if you look last video I made, I don't think I had both the Pioneer HPM 100s and my 685 BMWs. I don't think I had both of these set up. I just put the second pair of speakers back over here day before yesterday, or yesterday, something like that. So yeah, a lot of shifting there. Question number 16. Are you a ranker that enjoys ranking? Pits bands against bands, albums against albums. Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to do. It's just kind of one more fun way to interact with your collection, and sometimes even just allow you to view the music that you already know and love so well in a slightly different way that maybe you haven't viewed it before. I think comparing albums sometimes kind of does that. So I think it's good. Question number 17. Are you one that continues to strive for audiophile quality, or are you just one for the music? Yeah, definitely always striving for quality. I mean, when I get an opportunity, again, just about 3 weeks ago, I upgraded my turntable to this Kenwood, which is a fantastic table. I traded in 2 old tables I had, and to get this, you know, speaker placement, all that type of stuff is always important. Maybe upgrading your cartridges when you can. But then also, of course, just focusing on the records that I buy. Only bringing in stuff that is in fantastic, clean condition. So yeah, it's always a process, and I don't think you have to trade off one for the other, which is why sometimes it bugs me when people are like all the way on the audiophile side, or that stuff doesn't matter. It's just about the music. It's like, well, why can't you have both? Like, why can't you have the music that you like and have it sound the best it can possibly sound for you? Like, you can have both, in my opinion. Question number 18. What are your 5 most important things or particular values within the VC? Whew, more big questions there. I think I would say my most important value in the VC is just knowing how to communicate. I mean, if there was one value that I could put into every person that ever steps foot in the VC, including myself, it would be just knowing how to communicate and being a better communicator. Because I don't think there's anything, don't think there isn't anything wrong with not liking what someone else is talking about, or the music they like, or the fact that they have a Crosley, or just like, or they're crazy audiophiles and choose to spend, they spent $3,000 on a speaker cable or power cable, and it's like all of that stuff to me is fine. But it's just, if we could learn how to communicate if we disagree with something, or think something differently, like that to me solves 99% of most of the problems. Like for example, you have some, like the Crosley thing I mentioned might be a great example, because I'm sure you've seen on so many videos where someone has kind of just gotten into record collecting, and they have their 40 records they've been buying, and they have this Crosley turntable sitting in the back, or they're showing off their new turntable, and Crosleys are crap. They're going to destroy your records. Those things are horrible. And it's like, yes, I agree, Crosleys are bad. Is that the only way you know to communicate with this person? And is that the only thing you're seeing in this person right now, is that Crosley sitting behind? That's the only thing you're seeing. Like, there's nothing about you that sees, oh, here's a young person getting into vinyl records, is excited about vinyl records, wanted to come and share their excitement about vinyl records with other people like you that are into vinyl records. Can you really not find it inside you, or find a way to say, hey, so glad you got into vinyl records. You're going to love this hobby. It is so awesome. I see you're picking up some great records. I also know some of those records you got, they kind of cost, $30 and $40. One thing you might want to consider moving forward is at some point in time maybe upgrading your Crosley turntable. Those can be a little harsh on your records, but as starters, they're good. But eventually you might want to upgrade where your records will be a little bit better, and you'll get better sound out of them too, because you're investing a good penny into those things, $30-$40 a pop. So welcome to the vinyl world. Hope you get more great stuff. How hard can it be to say something like that? Crosleys suck. And so if there was one value that I wish that was just kind of instilled in all of us in the VC across the board, it would be that right there. You can say everything that you're thinking, just freaking learn how to communicate and actually act like other people matter. That's really it. So that's the one thing that comes to mind. So I don't know about picking up 5. Maybe I had more time to think about it, but like I said, kind of doing this off the cuff. Number 19. How well do you know your collection? Do you often find you forget what you have? And do you even know how many records you have? And if so, how many? I know my collection pretty well, actually. Um, CDs is where I can get stumped when I'm out and about because I don't have all my CDs in Discogs, and I don't quite go through the meticulous process that I go through with vinyl, so it can be easier for me to forget about which CDs I have. But vinyl, I'm usually pretty good, mainly because like not only do I have everything in Discogs, but when I get every single record that I get, it gets ultrasonically cleaned. Then it gets a MoFi style inner sleeve. It gets an outer sleeve. I look up the exact pressing on Discogs. It goes into Discogs. I take that information with pressing, catalog number, everything. I put that into my Excel spreadsheet. Then that album gets a sticker on the back with the same information: year of the album, condition of vinyl, condition of cover, the pressing that it is, all of that. So by the time I get a record and get it on my shelf after listening to it, I've handled it and engaged with it on so many levels, so many times. It doesn't just slip out of my mind very easy if I'm out and about thinking, do I have that? And like I said, as a backup, I have my Discogs on my phone. So, yeah, I don't have a problem buying vinyl records twice. CDs, I've done a number of times. Question number 20. Geez, that's 26-minute mark already. What do you prefer to label yourself as within the community? A content creator, an influencer, a vlogger, a VC member, a mini celebrity? I would say a VC member. I don't think of myself as a content creator and all of that just because I'm not, trying to get sponsors and not trying to build a channel to get all these subs to have all that. I'm just clicking record when I want to say something about music and want to talk about records and music and blah, blah, blah. So I would say I consider myself a VC member. There's a secret bonus question. Do you regard your channel within the vinyl community? Is there really such thing as the vinyl community? Yes. Yeah, I would say I do. I do regard my channel as being part of the vinyl community, and yes, there is a vinyl community. What I would say would confirm to me that there is a vinyl community is the fact that, and this happened a lot about maybe 7-8 years ago, or kind of when the resurgence was really starting to take hold. There were a lot of new people jumping on YouTube talking about vinyl, and I would get questions all the time from people of, how do you join the vinyl community? Like, where do you go? I used to get that question all the time. Well, I'm put this way, at least 35, 40 times people ask me that question. So I'm going to say all the time, but enough. People asking me, what is VCOT? What exactly is that? So I think just the fact that we all have come together here and we kind of know each other, we interact with each other on a regular basis. There's a language between us that people from the outside don't understand and have to come in and learn. Like, a lot of the factors that start with building and having a community seem to kind of exist there. So I would say, yes, there is a vinyl community, and I consider myself a part of the vinyl community. I think the one thing that's a lot different from when I started making videos before the vinyl community started, that first 2 or 3 years into it, it was just kind of one community. Kind of everyone inside there knew everyone inside of there, and it used to be like a full-time job just trying to keep up with threads and everything back then. I still remember that. And so where it's gone now, it's almost like a vinyl state, like referring to like the United States. It's more like a state as opposed to just one community, because there's so many individual cities and towns that people are grouped in that don't interact with other cities and towns, and maybe cross paths every now and then. So maybe that's why it doesn't maybe feel as much like a community, but there are multiple communities inside of this vinyl state that still is the VC vinyl world. I'm kind of rambling here again. I didn't have time to think about this, so I'm just thinking out loud to a certain degree. But anyway, so there you go, VC. Let me know what you think. Great questions, and as always, we will talk to you soon.